Assalamualaikum. We are here today with Kazeen's Rose Noordine. Hey, Rose. Looking
Hi.
awesome, and your background is way more interesting than mine.
Oh, yeah, there might be a few people coming past. Yeah.
You're in your studio, right?
Yeah, so that is probably not as interesting as that side, but yeah.
If you want to, you can flip it around, and I love
I
going.
can tell you, but it's kind of a mess. Yeah.
Awesome. But it's up to you. But basically, yeah, I'll leave it up to Rose to introduce herself and her amazing magazine, and then we'll go straight into the questions. And is basically a really amazing, um, it's like a small little setup with Rose and another artist called Sophia, and these guys have started their own print-based publication, and they've just launched their third issue. So congratulations to them for that, and it's an amazing, amazing magazine that you guys should really check out if you get a chance to. Rose, do you want to carry on from there?
Cool, yeah, okay. So I'm Rose and I'm the graphic designer for Inkzine, and this is our latest one.
Awesome.
And it's
You want to talk about the cover?
pardon?
You want to talk about the cover a little bit?
Yeah, so this isn't because this is a drawing issue, so this is a drawing that Sophia did, and then I sort of like live traced it and just made it blue and stuff. So this illustration
Technical side, such an artist.
yeah. So this we wanted to have a drawing on this one. So in the first issue we had a photograph, the second we had a collage. We were sure we wanted an illustration.
Is it a lady?
Pardon?
Is it a lady? A picture of a lady?
Yeah, it's a lady. Like we tend to have like we wanted to have always. Um, I was like we had like loads of conversations about not having a woman on the front at all because it feels a little bit like if we're trying to represent ourselves, maybe we don't need to have a physical person to do that. Maybe it's always about the ideas. But that just sort of fit, and it looked quite funny, and it looked very like Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was fitting. Yeah.
Space cadet with the
Little binoculars. I think the reference image was Moonrise Kingdom.
oh,
The girl from that looking through the binoculars in like a very 70s kind of outfit.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And I'm in this one, and I'm really excited about that. Myself there.
Yeah, this is your amazing drawing machine.
It's hardly amazing, but woohoo!
We need to send you a copy.
I don't know if my partner in crime Sonia's in there, but the other
Oh
half.
yeah, Sonia from Studio Shy is in here as well.
Oh, fantastic! We're both in there. Represent.
Yeah, her work's amazing. Etchings.
Oh wow, fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, so make sure you get a copy of that because we're in there too. So if I go straight onto the questions, Rose, because I'm conscious of your time and I don't want to take longer than 20 minutes. But if I asked you, do you define yourself as an illustrator or an artist? What would you say?
I think more often I describe myself as a graphic designer just because that's like my job title at work.
Mm-hmm.
But then I studied illustration. Maybe they're all quite ambiguous terms, but like illustration, I feel like it can encompass a lot of graphic design, and in the reverse. Artist maybe feels like quite a grand title, and maybe I avoid that. But maybe I'd say applied artist. So everything that I make, I don't think it's sort of or the majority of things that I make, they're not really like self-serving or personal. They tend to be for a cause. That sounds a bit too noble as well, but for like an external purpose.
Interesting.
But then, yeah, and so my like little doodles and my drawings that are just personal, I think it'd be a bit grand to call them art. I think they're just, yeah, they're maybe a little illustration.
You think someone like Tracy Emin has more of an entitlement to call herself an artist?
Yeah, I suppose because my association with artists is that they're kind of like philosophers, or like, and that they just manifest that in physical kind of work. So maybe that's more maybe that's a fine artist, or maybe that's a conceptual artist. But I didn't study fine art. So I don't really consider myself that. I do consider myself, yeah, like an applied artist, but that there's some kind of like creative practice going on. But I wouldn't really like. I'm not in that white wall kind of space. I'm not really in that world at all.
You think if your work ever reached a certain status, then would you call yourself an artist?
No, I don't really know what status.
Famous.
Yeah, I don't know what that would really have to do with it because um, I don't know. Like I don't want to say because who knows? Like I might just decide. Maybe I've referred to myself as a artist, but it's always kind of like trying to confine it to being something that is more like that is kind of smaller scale and more applied to commercial work or what I'd like to think is like acts of like community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So would you describe the community that focuses on as artists, the people that you feature?
Yeah, I think so. I think the people that I feature are more like, or the people that we feature, a lot of them are artists because they produce work that is based around like personal stories and really experimental with media. And maybe this sounds a little bit. And a lot of them studied art, like a lot of them studied art and that practice and that process. So yeah, I think a lot of them are artists, but then a lot of them define themselves as all kinds of things, and a lot of them are writers. A lot of them are like trained illustrators, graphic designers.
Cool. And what would you say is the role of the artist then? Because seeing as though you've come across so many, and you know you guys are in that space where you're using art for a cause, like you mentioned, what would you say is the role of an artist in today's society?
I think that that's really like down to the individual, what their role is as an artist or as a designer or applied artist, because it's kind of like, I suppose it's about your intention and it's about your message, and being an artist is a really personal process, and it's just so varied. So I think like maybe my personal like role in society, I'd like to think that I was not doing any damage and I was doing what I could to make positive changes or like positive effects, but I don't think that's every artist's intention. A lot of it could be maybe self-serving, and maybe I'm guilty of that too, or not guilty of that, and maybe I like that too. Yeah, I think it entirely depends on the person.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I interviewed Donald Hornsby yesterday, and he actually said the same thing.
What did he say?
Huh?
What did he say?
Yeah, the same thing that you just
Oh, really? Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like it's something that you can just claim and propagate for yourself.
Yeah, I think so. And I think maybe it's the same with every profession. Like, that isn't. I mean, maybe with an accountant, you have a really direct purpose, and you know what that is in society. But I think with most things that are creative, your purpose is really your own, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would you say that that's why you guys started Like because of the reasons you just said, you didn't want to do anything, you wanted to contribute positively and make sure that your skills went to something constructive rather
Yeah.
than someone else.
Yeah, well, there was lots of reasons why we started Unk. One of them being that when I feel like when people love drawing when they're young. Then they study art or they study design, and it just gets diluted into being you end up sitting and looking at code all day, or you end up on Photoshop all day and producing layouts for websites yeah, exactly. And it just seems like, and I feel like while I'm doing that, I'm like, yes, I'm honing my craft and I'm making it relevant to the world that I'm in, but really I just want to be sitting and drawing. And then so it was trying to make that distinction. Like, I got into this because I like drawing and I like making little worlds. So let's try and just make a space to do that. And then in addition to that, it just felt like the design world, from my experience, was just such a male, like quite an oppressive kind of male-dominated, exhausting space to be in. And that's nothing against the males. It's like nothing against males, but it just felt really tiring. And
You say that because over 60% of design students now are apparently women, especially in my course, architecture, where you wouldn't expect it, but 60% of the course first year was women. So Clearly,
Yeah.
women.
Well, there's this thing called the like 70-30 split, and it's like during uni or throughout uni in design courses, it's 70% women, 30% men, and the women are always in the top like grade tiers. But then as soon as you enter the industry, it reverses, and it's 30% women, 70% men, and they're all and men take up the kind of top positions and the roles. So yeah, that struck me when I entered the industry. But I mean, it might have just been that I was in digital design, and I was in something quite specific. And I can't really say it reflects the whole industry because I don't know. But I definitely was like, I need to just find some girls and do some work where we're just supporting each other and it's like really free and comfortable. And I found a lot of girls.
Is that why you guys went into print-based rather than digital? Because you found that the digital world was way too male-dominated. Is that one of the reasons? And print is more associated to craft, and even in the arts, this is only for the West. I haven't really seen it anywhere else. But a female artist has a connotation of being a decorator or a crafts.
Yeah. I
Is that
think
what?
craft sounds like such a kind of like dismissive or dirty word. I don't know. Like, I guess we use it, but it does sound a little bit like patronizing or kind of like dismissive, right? And or small, like small scale. But I agree. Like, I think the reason we did it in print was because we kind of came from we met in a zine fair uh, where there was a lot of activism and personal work, and I definitely found a lot of like relief in going to zine fairs and talking to people really directly, and everyone being really supportive and not being like this competitive, like fast-paced digital design world where you're always kind of you're always like watching trends and trying to make your work reflect that and trying to keep up. So it felt really like a nice natural space. So print seemed really, it seemed perfect, like, and I felt like it was like somewhere you could pivot a community on.
Okay, awesome. And how do you guys then go on to choosing the other artists that you decide to work with and feature in your zine? Because you and Sophie hit it off at a zine fair. I know how you guys get on. About pick.
Well, I think it's just like it's not. There's no like technical process or screening thing. We just if we like somebody's work, then we put it in, and but within the limitations that they're women, and it just so happens that we have a lot of friends, and we meet a lot of people. Or we have a lot of friends who are artists, and we meet a lot of people who just produce really amazing work. So I think it just kind of comes to us from the universe.
Awesome. The universe. I like that new age reference. And how about your own development as an artist through how do you plan? Again, you said you just wanted a space to draw, so that's the purpose, do you reckon? Like, if say you guys do this for the next 10 years, where do you see yourself as in the process of your development, skills-wise, through this?
Yeah. I do like the layout. I didn't put any of my own drawings in this issue, strangely, because
Oh,
I know, like, it was quite an active decision because I was trying to concentrate on maybe honing, because I studied illustration and I worked with print work, like commercial print work, but I guess my big kind of I'm kind of insecure about not being strong as like a graphic designer when it comes to print. So I felt like I was just trying my best to learn that process and to make it better than the last issue, and to use to improve my print design skills. And then I'm just around incredible like illustrators and artists, and then I think it just invigorates me and it makes me happy, and I go away and I draw stuff in my sketchbook and I don't show anyone.
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then where do you see yourself in 10 years then after this project? Are you going to have a drawing in there?
Yeah, I mean, I had drawings in the previous issues. It was just this one I felt really like I didn't want to. I wanted to concentrate on trying to make the design as kind of tight as it could be for like a rough and ready zine that was put together in 2 days. So, yeah, maybe in 10 years, I'd like illustration practice to the point that I'm exposing it more. But I'm quite accepting and comfortable that that's a process that will like come about on its own. Yeah, I feel quite patient with that stuff.
Awesome. And with regards to I was going to ask you, yeah, the cost of it. You guys actually keep it very cheap. Is it still £5?
Yeah, the issue's £5.
That's like really cheap compared to most it's considering that it's totally handmade and that you guys print it really on really nice quality paper as well. Like usually something like that would be about 25, 30 quid easily.
It feels like a little bit, but I think we managed to keep the price like comfortable, and it pays for itself. It covers itself. So
I mean, we're in a time where, especially in London, it's like a record high. I mean, Damien Hirst just made 67 million in one sale. Like artists are making more money than they've ever made in history. So how do you feel about that? Do you feel like art is not something you should be making money from?
I think if you can make money from it, then that's definitely a privilege. But I suppose it's like the ratio of people making money and the people not making money is quite extreme. There's definitely going to be some superstars, but maybe I'm just not really interested in that. I'm not interested in, and I think most people don't get into art because they want to make money. It's definitely like a really personal interest. So, yeah, I have no intention to.
They don't want to, or is it because they've ended up making a compromise because that's just a perception of, the poor, dismal artist that just has to make the sacrifice to express themselves, and you only can really make money if you're in some huge vocational career?
I don't know. Like, I suppose my intention was always to get a job within kind of that it never. I didn't think I'd be like rolling in money at any point, but I always thought that it led to like a vocation, that it had that, it was definitely applicable. So I'm not really sure about fine artists and how the conceptual artists, and how they view making money, but I feel like most people who probably study conceptual or fine art have money.
Yeah, to begin with.
So they're comfortable enough to kind of take those risks and to live that way. I definitely think that my mindset was never to go out and make a lot of money, but it was that I wanted a job that was creative. So that was the path that I took.
So do you guys see then as providing a service, or do you see it as a product that you're putting on sale in the market?
I think it was about creating a community, but as we progress, like we're definitely trying to be smarter with like a business plan, because we want it to sustain itself, and we don't want to be flaky and it be like we're just girls like having a cute time making this thing, and it would just kind of phase out. Like, we want it to be something real and to have an impact. So I suppose we do have to market it as a product, and we have to play that game. But I'd like to think maybe there's some righteousness in it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, not at all. Like I think to learn marketing is one of the cleverest things you could do as an artist. If you look at like the most famous ones that are out now and that were famous even like 200 years ago, they knew how to play the marketing game, and that's how they carved a space for themselves. They made up their own personality.
Yeah.
And even someone that I look up to, like Gustave Courbet, who seems to be this self-taught peasant of an artist, had a really rich dad that supported him all his life, and nobody even knows about it until they read up about it. So you really have to know how to play to the image that can get you the most lasting impact, like you said.
Yeah.
And with regards to this, where you want to leave your impact, I mean, you guys are in most of the events that you say it's a publication focusing on feminism and spirituality, or femininity and spirituality. I don't know which one you guys prefer. Which one is it?
Well, we tend to say like women, creativity and activism with elements of faith or women of faith included. I suppose we don't really overplay. I think at different times we've been more associated with feminism, we're present in. But I think those kind of terms can be quite limiting, but we definitely repeat that it's like a magazine for creative women.
Yeah.
and a lot of the content is related to activism, and a lot of it is related to like personal stories to do with faith. So um, yeah, maybe the feminist label is getting a little bit trendy right now.
Yeah,
So I'm
very
not that
trendy,
interested in being,
especially
yeah,
thanks
I'm not
to
that
Hermione
interested in being.
Granger.
Pardon?
Oh, sorry, I was saying Emma Watson in the UN made it very trendy.
Yeah, I didn't watch that because I knew it would make me vomit. But yeah, yeah. But I guess it's not like strategic to say that we're feminists or that that we're like women of faith or women of color. It's not at all. It's just trying to make a few labels that will that will mean that people can relate or that they know that it's for them, but without being too kind of they're limited by it, I guess.
Mhm. So
Mm.
it's a self-conscious tag, or you feel it's something that has been tagged onto it because, you know, print-based activism for women, you only tend to have one genre in that market, and that is feminism.
Kind of like the zine world that is quite a feminist kind of. Well, I think I'd like to think that we that we're part of that kind of legacy where we love Riot Girl and we love like a lot of feminist scene groups. I'd like to think we were part of that, but maybe our reaction to those things are that there's a lot that wasn't for us in that. Like there was a lot that we were excluded from being kind of and also feminism tends to I feel like visually feminism tends to focus on things that are well not maybe that's unfair, but I so many issues to do with the body, and
Yeah.
that's really relevant to being a woman and to being a feminist. But this was a conscious decision to avoid all of that, it not being um, about the body, just removing all of that, and it continuously being about your ideas and your actions rather than your physical self.
Yeah, brilliant.
Mm.
Yeah, well, definitely from the events that I attended, I have my own views on feminism and where it takes women. But like that aside, it's really interesting to see somebody else and some another viewpoint because you very rarely see faith-based perspectives in that
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
It's really good that you guys occupy that space. But that's it for my questions for you, Rosa, and it's really awesome that I got a chance to speak to you.
yeah. Thanks for speaking with me, Arif, and thanks for being in the issue.
Oh, it was so the pleasure is all mine. I'm so like excited. And I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah,
So
we'll
I'm gonna let you go, and I hope you have an amazing, fun day ahead of you.
yeah, you
Allah.
too.
Take
Cool. Assalamu alaikum.
care. Wa rahmatullah.